All right. If you remember, and I'm sure you do, we're learning now in the Mishnayot on the great rabbis of the Talmud and of the Mishnah. And we got up to Hillel. Hillel was in the time of the temple, right near the end of the temple. And one of his main pupils was Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan and Zakai, he received from Hillel and from Shammai. So it says that Hillel had, what is it he had? Let me read this over here. He said that Hillel had 80 pupils. Hillel, 30 of them, they were fitting that the Shekhinah, the God's presence, could rest on them like Moses. 30 of them were holy, a little bit less, but they had the merit that the sun would stand for them like Joshua. That's what's going to happen in Jericho. No, not in Jericho, I'm sorry, in Givon. 20 of them were Beinonim. They were just normal tzaddikim, righteous people. The greatest of them was Yonatan ben Uziel. It says Yonatan ben Uziel was so holy that if a bird would fly over him when he was learning Torah, it would burn up. And the youngest of them was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai. And that's what we're talking about over here. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai knew everything. It says that he did not leave anything in the Torah, no Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara, Halacha, Agada, Diktuke Torah, Diktuke Sofrim, Kalim, V'chamorim, Gezer, Shav. He knew everything. Gematras, the secrets of how the angels speak, how the demons speak. He could understand the message coming through the wind, coming through the palm trees, and etc. Okay. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai was very great. It says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, he was present at the destruction of the temple, and they snuck him out, and it's a long story, but he met with a general of the Romans, and the general of the Romans, he said, "You are going to be the king." And sure enough, immediately they came from Rome and said, "You have just been chosen the king." So the general was so happy. So he said, "What do you want?" So he said, there's a whole Gemara about it in Gittin. So he said, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai said, listen, if I ask for too much, he's going to say, forget it, I'm not going to give it to you. So he didn't. He said, all I want is that, he asked for something else also, but he said, I want you to give me the city of Yavna and all of the wise men that are in Yavna. And also that there should be the leader of the Jews, that he should, from the family of King David, which was Rabban Gamliel. Okay, so anyway, he got all these things. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, he ended up saved the whole Torah. If he would have succeeded, God forbid, in killing all the wise men, then there would be nobody to teach the Torah. There would nobody who was accurate. Everybody would just, make up their own ideas. Okay, here we go. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai received from Hillel and Shammai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai would say like this: if you learned a lot of Torah, al tachzik tov al atzmacha, don't think that you really you deserve a big prize. Why not? I learned Torah. Nobody else is learning Torah. I'm sitting and learning Torah all the time. I think I deserve something, right? It says, listen, my friend, you are a creation. Don't forget, you're lucky to be created. You're lucky to even be alive. Now you think God owes you something. And not only that, the reason, okay, but I'm learning the Torah. This is the fact of the matter, that's why you were created. You were created in order to learn the Torah. Right? It's like, a musician that's in the orchestra to see, I played the notes right. Of course you played the notes right. We're paying you. That's what God is keeping you alive. So you learning Torah, don't expect any big rewards. Even though it says that, of course, God does give rewards. There's no doubt about it. We learned that was the big problem with, what was it? Antigonus Socho. that he said that they don't serve God in order to receive reward. You should serve God without thinking about reward. And he had two pupils, Antigonus. He saw the two pupils. Tzadok and Betos. He said, "What did the rabbi say? That there's no reward?" They said, we suspect there's no reward. It doesn't say in the Bible there's 5 books of Moses, there's a reward. So they just started interpreting the Torah however they wanted to. In any case, he said, the fact of the matter is, don't expect benefits for yourself. Don't say how great I am, because that's what you learn a lot of Torah. That's what you're created for. You should be happy that you can serve God. Okay, want to see a little bit of the explanation here. Here we go. Let's look at the Bar Tanura. It says, don't hold any good to yourself. Lomer to say, Harba Torah, I learned a lot of Torah.
That's the you ever made. Yeah. Yeah. You could sell it.
There we go. So, it says, a person can say to himself, listen, I learned a lot of Torah, and I think that I deserve some sort of a special, treatment by God, or at least from people. Give me a little stand up when I come in the room. That was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai. It says that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, there was nothing in the Torah that he did not learn. He learned everything. That's what it says. But nevertheless, he said, the fact of the matter is that that's the reason I was born. You were created in order to learn the Torah. So that's the reason why. So don't hold any good to yourself. Okay, now here's an interesting thing. It says Hillel was really not from the tribe of King David. It says he received from Hillel and Shammai. And therefore, it's mentioning Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai. This is the Tosfos Yom Tov, because he was not from the royal line of King David like everybody else, and he was so therefore it has to mention his name. But the fact is that he had a lot of pupils, and there was a lot of arguments. They started differing. When in the time of Shammai and Hillel, there weren't any arguments, but in his time, the time of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, there were a lot of arguments between them. So therefore, it's very important what he says, even though this is deviating from the line of royalty of the leaders of the Jewish people, that he was not the Nasi and he was not the Av Beis Din. But he is very important. Why is he important? We'll see. There were 5 pupils that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai had. 5 pupils. He really had a lot of pupils, but these were the 5 main ones. And the Rebbe points out that these were the 5 different types of pupils that he had. And these were representative of all 5 different types. It says these are the 5 pupils. Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. Anytime it says in the Torah, Rabbi Eliezer, the Mishnah, this is Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania. He's the one that always argues with Rabbi Eliezer. This is the whole story of they said that Torah is not in heaven, it's on the earth. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, Rabbi Yossi Cohen, Rabbi Shimon ben Nathaniel, and Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch. And he would list their good qualities, their praises. What would he say? Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus, he said, Rabbi Elazar bore a pit sud that is lined with whatever tar or something. She'enu mabetipa, that you put water in it, whatever you put in it stays there. The same thing with him, Torah, everything that he hears, he remembers. Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, Ashrei Yoladato. His mother, everyone that looked at him said, wow, happy is the woman that gave birth to this wonderful child. Right? Here's the story about him also. It says, Ashrei Yoladato, where are we? Let's see if we can find this here. Me'usher midos tovos ad shekol olam. He had a very good personality. Everybody said about him, happy is the one who gave birth to him. Some people say because his mother caused him to be wise, that she would take him when he was a baby to all of the places of learning in the city. And she would say to them, please have mercy and request from God mercy on, when she was pregnant, on this child in my womb, that he should be wise. And from the day he was born, she didn't take his bed out of the place of learning. I guess maybe it was in a side room or because he would cry. Nevertheless, she wanted him to hear the words of Torah. So that's why happy is the one who gave birth to him, because she was the one that caused him to be so wise. We're going to go back to this also. Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Yoshua ben Hanania, that's what he said, Rabbi Yossi Cohen, he is a chassid. A chassid is a person that does more than what's expected of him. Rabbi Shimon ben Netanel, he fears sin. And Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch, he's Mayan Amitkaber. He's like a wellspring that increases all the time. And we're going to see that Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch is the greatest of all of them. And also, let's just have a little bit look here. What does it mean that he's a chassid and a yirei? Let's look at the Bar Tanura. Chassid, that he does mishurat adin, he does more than is expected of him. That he fears sin, that he's very, very strict on himself, and he forbids things that are even permissible. He keeps very far away from anything that might be against God's will. But Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch, he says he's a Mayan Mitgaber. He is a wellspring that continues to increase. His heart is wide, and he opens up new ideas to argue and new ideas from to explain, to answer questions from his own mind. Okay, Rabbi Shaul. Oh, let's see. Here we go. Let's just do this quickly. These are the 5 main pupils of Rabbi. The Lubavitcher Rebbe explains this very beautifully, and God willing, next week we'll talk about it. It says, Rabbi, these are the pupils of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, right? Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai said like this: if all of the wise men of Israel were on one, how do you say, a plate of the scales, right? They had scales that they would weigh, 1 cup of the scales, right? You ever see scales like that? They have them in Tel Aviv. So they put like a weight that's a kilo on this side, and on the other side they put the fruits or whatever, so that it comes, So it says that if all of the wise men were in one, and there's all the merits and all the wisdom of all the wise men were on one side of this scale, and Elazar ben Hyrcanus was on the other side, he would equal all of them. And that's how great Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus was. And Abba Shaul said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai, he heard from Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakai that he said, if all the wise men of Israel were on 1 cup of the scales, and Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus was together with all the wise men, right? We said, in other words, it would be at least twice as meritorious as before. And Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch was on the other side, that he would also weigh all the others down. That's how great Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch was. Rabbi Elazar ben Aruch was, and we'll talk about this, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you for coming. God willing, tomorrow, 8:15 in the morning, we will finish the Devar Malchut that we started about how Joshua sending in his 2 spies was the foretaste of Mashiach. Hope to see you all tomorrow. God bless you with Mashiach now.